I will ask Erin to make the department statement on the project.
My name is Erin Schumacher. I'm a principal geologist with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And this is the opening statement from the DEP for the 5 applications submitted by Tennessee Gas Pipeline. Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company has submitted applications for temporary dewatering permits to facilitate the installation of new natural gas pipeline for the Northeast Upgrade Project, which is in 5 townships and 3 counties in northern New Jersey. Dewatering permits 1289D, 1291D, 1299D, 1300D, and 1301D were applied for in Wantage Township, West Milford Township, Montague Township, Ringwood Borough, and Mawa Township in Sussex, Passaic, and Bergen counties. The request for temporary dewatering permits is to maintain dry trenches 6 to 8 feet deep to make the construction of the pipeline possible. The pipeline is to be constructed in the right-of-way that parallels an existing natural gas pipeline for much of its route. Application 1289D is requesting the approval to divert 2,200 gallons per minute and 19.27 million gallons per month from wells, well points, and trenches in Wantage Township, Sussex County. Application 1291D is requesting to divert 2,850 gallons per minute and 10.82 million gallons per month from wells, well points, and trenches, and from the Monksville Reservoir for horizontal directional drilling to run the pipeline under the reservoir, and that is in West Milford Township, Passaic County. Application 1299D is requesting approval to divert 5,524 gallons per minute and 246.62 million gallons per month from wells, well points, and trenches, and 2,850 gallons per minute from the Delaware River for horizontal directional drilling under the Delaware River in Montague Township, Sussex County. Application 1300D is requesting approval to divert 880 gallons per minute and 134.46 gallons per month from trenches, wells, and well points in Ringwood Borough, Passaic County. Application 1301D is requesting approval to divert 880 gallons per minute and 39.3 million gallons per month from trenches, wells, and well points in Mawa Township, Bergen County. These applications are for the construction of an additional pipeline along an existing pipeline route and involve no gas exploration or fracking. Based upon the information reviewed to date, which includes the applications, technical reports, the department's known contaminated sites list, wetlands and diversion source location maps, and the comments received to date, the Bureau is recommending approval of all 5 dewatering permits. This preliminary decision is based upon the applications meeting the requirements of our rules N.J.A.C 7:19-2.3, and there being no anticipated impacts to the resource or other users of that resource as a result of these temporary diversions.
Melissa Detling?
Yes.
She is the representative for the applicant, and she'll be making her statement now.
Melissa Detling, I'm with Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company. I made a few notes, and I know Erin covered some of the summary information of the permit applications that we've submitted. As she said, Tennessee Gas is proposing a project which would involve the installation of a parallel pipeline to the existing corridor that we have for natural gas pipeline transmission right now. They'll just be moving gas, as he said. No gas fracking is proposed for our project. We don't do any of exploration or production. We just transport the gas in the pipeline system. Erin went over where the pipeline project is located, but the entire Northeast Upgrade project is approximately 40 miles of pipeline looping. Only approximately 17, 18 miles of that is in New Jersey. So the trench dewatering that Aaron was referring to, I'll just, clarify that we'll only be pumping water out of the trench that's naturally occurring, either rainwater or any groundwater that comes into the trench while it's open. We will not have the full 17 miles of pipeline trench open all at one time. The water will be, pumps will be put into the trench to pump the water out. There'll be a screen on there to filter, any large items from coming, and then the water will be discharged adjacent to our workspace. So any water that we're taking out of these trenches will be returned to in the same location. We'll be removing the water from that area. We'll just be pumping out of the trench to facilitate the dry trench that we need to put the pipeline in to make sure that it's welded and checked and everything for safety reasons. So these water will not be removed from these sites. It'll just be pumped out of the trench through a dewatering structure to a well-vegetated area so that it can infiltrate back into the ground. The other water that we're discussing is for drilling. So where we're proposing to do horizontal directional drills under these two sensitive resources, we'll be just using water that we will be pumping the same way. We'll be taking just small pumps. We'll have screens with a pump filter that will take the clean water out. We'll be trucking it to where we need to put it in, where the drilling locations are happening. They'll be using some of this water to mix the benign bentonite clay that they'll use to just help facilitate the drilling underneath the two resources. So I won't go through volumes or what's being anticipated to be used because I know those are all in the permits, but we are here. We thank you for considering this, and if you do have any questions that come from this, we are here to answer that. I've got other staff members that worked on the project that helped to review these applications and put the numbers together. So
I'm here today to offer my public comment as myself, as a member of the Vernon Township Environmental Commission and North Jersey Pipeline Walkers. The first photo in the package is really there so that you can see how lush and green and wonderful the wetlands were before the digging. The second and the third photos are afterwards, and you see they left us with a mud hole. Obviously, you did not bring your hiking boots, but we could go out whenever you want. It still remains the same this way today. These pictures are pretty current. In section 5, actually 5.12 of the reforestation plan, as laid out by Tennessee, it said that they would restore those areas immediately upon completion as close to practical as in its original state. There is not even any wet water type plants planted in, it's just a mud hole. The next set of pictures are a depiction of what was planted. Along the Sussex and West Milford lines, where you can readily see the pipeline from the road, you will see that they planted nice-sized trees. When you walk deep into the forest, there's like practically nothing. The twigs that are no taller than your hand, which could not survive. If you were to look at the entire length, this is not no net loss. And finally, the last set of pictures is off of what I thought was protected land, the Wallkill Wildlife Refuge. And there, really, when you look at it, is the soil it looks like desert. It's barren. This used to be lush with all kinds of grasses and wildlife for the birds and the animals. It was their refuge. And this is the way it stands today, with no growth. Further, in section 7 of the same plan, they were granted the right to not only train their environmental inspectors, but to hire and pay them. Clearly, if their own people are overseeing the project, that is a conflict of interest. Your people should be there overseeing the project, because you work for us, and you're in charge of the environment. Did you know that on June 7th in 2011, there was a fire in the park, in the forest in the park, of their own equipment? Vernon could not get their firemen out there because we do not have trucks that can go over all terrain. So they had to truck them out there and put the fire out with handheld extinguishers. I went, scoured all the FERC reports. This fire was never reported anywhere. Did you know that? You know, I'm here, standing here because these are end results. This is cumulative. They have it broken down into little segments. One little segment by itself is nothing. But when you have 40 miles, this is not little segments. The damage is cumulative. For the ground to recover would be, I don't know in whose lifetime. You know, this is serious implications. You need to consider the project as a whole, not just segment here, segment there, segment everywhere else. You have a lot of very knowledgeable people here today that are going to talk to you further on the environment, and they're talking about cumulative. This is something that really needs to be considered.
And the first thing that I would like to request is that a second hearing be held on these dewatering permits in the Ringwood, Mawa area, preferably in the evening, so that people that will be impacted by this project have another opportunity to come out and learn more and comment on these 5 permits. Because the New Jersey Sierra Club has serious concerns with the dewatering permits requested by Tennessee Gas Pipeline. The water would be taken from the Delaware River and the Monksville Reservoir, used for horizontal directional drilling, and HDD practices could end up releasing bentonite clay into both of these water bodies, resulting in serious impacts, including fish kills. And one of the qualifiers for this permit is that it must not cause impacts to other uses. And it's especially concerning as you're saying that you're not even looking at the discharge point, and that's when it would probably most likely that the bentonite clays would enter the Delaware River and the Monksville Reservoir, major drinking water supplies both to millions of people, especially the Delaware River, and the fact that it serves 3 states below the discharge point that they would be looking at. The dewatering permits impact Category 1 streams and highlands waters, where there should be no measurable or calculable change in water quality under the surface water standards. And I do not think that this company can meet those requirements. These withdrawals will cause degradation because they will drop stream flow, increasing pollutant loads. The drilling and construction of the pipeline will put particulates, sediments, and other pollutants into the waterways, and much of the construction will be on steep slopes, resulting in significant erosion and sedimentation impacts, as we've seen with their previous track record on the 300 line project. These streams are so important that they are protected by anti-degradation criteria that the DEP must uphold. Based on what we already know, you must deny this permit. The company is proposing to withdraw approximately 185 million gallons from our waterways and groundwater supplies. That's enough to serve a town of about 18,000 people. This is a depletive use, taking that water away from the water supplies of local towns and communities that have paid both financially and through blood, sweat, and tears to protect those reservoirs and drinking water supplies. During the preparation of the environmental assessment for this project at the federal level, the DEP raised major concerns about the crossing of the Monksville Reservoir. There are ongoing issues with impacts this project will have on this drinking water supply reservoir, and the DEP should deny these permits to stop drilling beneath it. The construction of the project cannot move forward unless all federal permits are secured, including a permit under the Clean Water Act under the jurisdiction of the DEP. Instead of looking at these dewatering permits, the DEP should be working on denying that federal permit. Well, once again, just based on the company's dismal track record, you know that this project and the dewatering permits will have impacts on other users. We saw not only the sedimentation impacts at Lake Lookover, but we've had the Vernon Environmental Commission document VOCs on the right-of-way following the project, which will end up in our water bodies through erosion and sedimentation. We've had, runoff. We've seen increased reports of flooding and impact to drinking water wells by homeowners along the 300 line project, and would anticipate similar impacts from this project as well. So this company has destroyed our forests and our waterways before, and we are still seeing the consequences. We must not give them a second chance, especially when the stakes are so high with the crossings under the Delaware River and Monksville Reservoir. This company had hundreds of violations on its last project, between 400 and 500 in Pennsylvania alone. And we cannot allow that to happen again in a region that provides drinking water to millions of state residents. We urge you to deny these dewatering permits. Thank you.
It's a sample of the wetlands of Vernon, courtesy of the North Jersey Pipeline Walkers. You can pass it around, pick it up, smell it, enjoy it. From the beginning of this project, it has been one waiver after another, exemption on top of exemption, and gift after gift to one of the greediest industries in the country. And also, I represent North Jersey Pipeline Walkers. Irresponsible actions by FERC, the New Jersey DEP, and the New Jersey Highlands Council, and the EPA have directly allowed the most reckless distribution of permits ever granted in our state. Permits to do some of the most devastating damage to the environment I have ever witnessed. From approving the deforestation of 53,000 trees in Waywandah State Park, and accepting twigs to replace those trees in the no net loss agreement, to allowing the spilling of toxic chemicals in our wetlands, leaving soil so contaminated it needs to be bagged and removed. To this day, reminders that Tennessee Gas Pipeline came through Vernon are everywhere, and our once pristine wetlands, 3,000 feet of them in all. And they still reek of fuel. Recent test results show positives for VOCs, including toluene, and the dangerous vapors they exude. These once beautiful wetlands are now rendered dead zones due to wet ditch dredging, which is the fastest, the dirtiest, the cheapest, and as to be expected, the preferred method used by Tennessee Gas Pipeline. Brett Callahan and David King, both veterans of the DEP, came to a site visit with me in 2011 to see areas of concern. Neither one was educated or concerned enough to tell the difference between iron bog and the obvious petroleum byproducts, leaving me to question just whom is the DEP protecting. It is not the environment, nor the residents of New Jersey, and it is most definitely not the wildlife that call New Jersey home. And now these same irresponsible agencies like the DEP and FERC want the public to sit back and allow Tennessee Gas Pipeline to steal our precious water right out from under us, to be used for enabling more dirt of this dirty, environmentally devastating project, using water from Mumpsville Reservoir in the Delaware River to aid in the drilling process that will permanently harm and compromise both of these water bodies, and in the process, make toxic chemical soup out of the drill wastewater. Then it will be buried with a pipe so it can leach for years to come. Then, allowing insult to obvious environmental injury, the gas companies will harvest more precious water to clean dirty pipelines, resulting in another toxic cocktail called hydrostatic wastewater, comprised of benzene, toluene, heavy iron, and mercury. A blend so toxic it should never re-enter into the environment. But with Tennessee Gas Pipeline at the switch, it will ultimately find its way to the shores of unsuspecting wetlands and streams throughout New Jersey and PA. These overpaid, unknowledgeable agencies have got some nerve asking the public to close their eyes to this environmental suicide and to be submissive to their dirty hands while our water and air are being permanently poisoned. New Jersey Pipeline Walkers say a strong no to waivers and exemptions that are tagged onto your permits that allow Tennessee Gas Pipeline not to violate the Clean Water Act. We say no more permits.
Is there a documented designated map of contaminated water discharge following the pipeline pressure test? Will we know where this contaminated water will be discharged after it's pressure tested, the pipeline? Or will it just be discharged everywhere into the environment? There are specific designated areas of this discharge? So right now you don't even know when this permit's been granted?
We don't handle the discharge of the water from water allocation. We just handle the actual taking of the water out for the construction of the pipeline. We don't handle the discharge.
Who handles the discharge?
That would be the NJDEP program.
Excuse me?
The NJDEP program at the DEP.
Okay.
They
Can you,
handle that.
is that an acronym for an organization? A part of the NJDEP?
New Jersey Pollution Discharge Elimination System.
Oh, okay. Thank you.